If I say the name Maura Murray, I'm willing to bet that anyone who follows missing persons cases, true crime, or the strange and unexplained knows exactly who I'm talking about. A young woman, clearly in some kind of trouble her loved ones didn't fully understand, disappears on a freezing night after crashing her car on Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire, right after abruptly leaving her dorm at UMass Amherst on February 9th, 2004. Theories about what happened to Maura have been debated for 2 decades. But one thing is certain. Her case is among the most well-known in the missing persons community. You've probably also heard of the disappearance of Bryce Laspisa, the young man who drove away from his apartment in Northern California and vanished after a string of confusing detours and bizarre behavior. I actually covered Bryce's case in episode 60 on this channel. But what if I told you there's another case, far less known, but eerily similar, about someone who, by all accounts, seemed to have his life in order? Someone who made an unexpected, long-distance drive, acted strangely, and then vanished, exactly 10 years ago today. This is 1 minute and 43 seconds, a true Unsolved Mysteries podcast, episode 62, and this is the disappearance of Haruchika Miyagi. There isn't much available about Haru's early life. What I could find is that he was of Japanese descent, graduated from Lehigh High School in Lehi, Utah, and went on to attend Utah Valley University in Orem. Haru was involved in several business ventures, and his online presence reflected that. His YouTube channel once showcased all kinds of content: him bowling with friends, tips on saving money on your utility bills, and in videos explaining Tensai, the global trading software he created. He used every platform he had, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, to share his thoughts and promote his projects. But as of today, most of that digital footprint is gone. Haru's Facebook page and YouTube channel appear inactive, with only a profile photo remaining and no videos. A Twitter account last posted in December 2012, mostly sharing links to now deleted YouTube content. What's left is surprisingly minimal. His ex account and a sparse LinkedIn profile identifying him as the CEO of Tensai Financial Group. In 2015, Haru was 34 years old and living in American Fork, Utah. December 5th, 2015. At some point that day, no one knows why, Haru got into his red four-door 2002 Mazda Protege and drove south. Later that afternoon, around 5 p.m., a woman on a large horse ranch outside Dewey, Arizona, called police to report a trespasser. It must have startled her, considering Med Bar Road is a small, poorly maintained dirt road, not the kind of place you just stumble onto by chance. According to the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, a man entered through the ranch's main gate off Orem Road and walked toward the house. The woman stepped outside to meet him. He asked if he could stay at her home, or at least on her property, for the night. Understandably, she declined and told him he could probably find a hotel in Prescott, about 25 miles west. She later told authorities that the man remained calm. He got back into his vehicle, but instead of leaving the way he came, he continued deeper into the property. He crashed through a gate and then drove out of sight. The trespasser was later identified as Haruchika Miyagi. Roughly 2 hours after that encounter, police located Haru's car on the same dirt road, about a mile from where he was last seen. It had crashed into Yarborough Wash and was stuck between the wash and a barbed wire fence. Now, if you're like me and wondering what the hell a wash is, I looked it up. A wash is basically a dry riverbed or seasonal stream channel. It's formed by water, but it's usually completely dry, until there's heavy rain or flash flooding. But this could very well catch a driver off guard, being a dip in the ground. Anyway, Haru's car was heavily damaged. Additionally, he was nowhere to be found. 4 days later, Search and rescue teams with dogs combed the area, but the dogs never picked up his scent. Police also tracked his cell phone, which last connected to a tower shortly after he drove deeper into the ranch. It then went dark and has never connected to a tower since, nor was it found in Haru's car. Today marks 10 years since anyone last saw or heard from Haru Miyagi. His fate remains completely unknown. Why did Haru drive more than 500 miles from his home to a remote area of Arizona where he had no known ties? What led him to that ranch on Medbar Road? An area so rural and isolated that it's hard to imagine arriving there accidentally. It's said that the terrain in the area Haru was last seen was rough and would have been uncomfortable to navigate in the type of car he was driving. Why did he ask a complete stranger if he could stay on her property? Where was he going, and why? A few sources I discovered indicated Haru was reported missing by his family after he did not show up for work on December 3rd, 2 days before he was last seen on the ranch. As mentioned previously, Haru had a distinct presence on social media. Interestingly, his last Facebook post was recorded just before 9 p.m. on December 3rd, 2015. Haru would post the following words to his public Facebook account. Quote, "The power of giving is important. Want to give as much as possible. It's called karma." End quote. This post is interesting, but vague enough that there's no way to know whether it had anything to do with his disappearance. It might offer a glimpse into his state of mind, but it's also the kind of statement that can easily be overinterpreted when viewed through the lens of what happened later. Taken on its own, and in my opinion, it reads more like a simple motivational message about positivity and kindness. Still, it's impossible to know what was going on in Haru's mind on that day 10 years ago, and at this point, unless he's found, we're left with only speculation and his family without closure. This is one of those cases that I sometimes refer to as a mystery within a mystery. You have the question of why Haru drove to that location. Where was he going? And then you have the mystery of what happened to him after his car crashed. Given that he was an entrepreneur who seemed to be very excited and very involved in his business, was he traveling somewhere related to a business venture? Still, how did he end up in the rural spot that he did? Did he suffer some sort of head injury after he crashed his vehicle? Did he wander off into the vast landscape and succumb to the elements? Was he experiencing some sort of mental illness that caused this entire trip? If Haru was alive today, he would be 44 years old. At the time of his disappearance, Haru was 5 feet 9 inches tall and approximately 180 pounds. He's an Asian male with black hair and brown eyes, although some sources say he had brown hair and brown eyes. He was last seen wearing a blue jacket, blue pants, and Vans shoes. Haru also goes by the nickname Chika. He has a tattoo of his name in Chinese characters on his left arm. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Haruchika Miyagi, you can contact the Yavapai County, Arizona Sheriff's Office at 928-771-3260 or the American Fork, Utah Police at 801-763-3020. Both agencies are investigating the disappearance. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, please consider sharing Haru's story. We have the ability to make his case famous, like the others previously mentioned. This has been episode 62 of 1 minute and 43 seconds. See you next time. "1 minute and 43 seconds is dedicated to my number one fan. Thanks, Dad. I love you and I miss you." This podcast has been approved by Skipper the Cat. Right, Skippy?